The InfiMech EX is a compact, affordable CoreXY printer running a configurable version of Klipper. But the biggest surprise from my testing wasn't simply how fast this printer could go, it was that increasing the print speed actually produced a much better surface finish. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Hoffman Engineering. I've been testing the single color version of the InfiMech EX without the optional APS or MCS attachments. In this review, we'll look at the hardware and print quality, but more importantly, I'll show you the slicer problem that hurt nearly every flat surface, and the settings that fixed it. So let's get into it. Before we begin, this 3D printer was provided for me to review by InfiMech. As with all of my reviews, they aren't paying me for this review, and everything I say is my own honest opinion after using this printer for the last month. Some links in the description are affiliate links, which can save you some money while helping to support the channel. We appreciate it. Let's start with the specs. The EX is a filament-based CoreXY 3D printer. If you're new to CoreXY, it means that the two motors that move the print head stay bolted to the frame instead of riding along with it. They share one belt loop, and they work together on both axes. Less weight moving around means that it can move faster without shaking itself apart. The build volume is 250 by 250 by 205 millimeters. InfiMech rates it at up to 600 millimeters per second print speeds. There are three versions: the base EX that I tested, the EX with the 5-color MCS, and the EX with the APS automatic plate changing system, which swaps the build plates on its own so that the printer can keep running unattended. I don't have either attachment yet, so I'll just be talking about the base EX, but I hope to have some follow-up videos with those attachments soon. And here's the thing that matters on this machine. It runs Klipper, a modern, advanced 3D printing firmware. InfiMech gives you direct access to the Klipper configuration files, so you can modify the printer's behavior much like you would on a machine that you configured yourself. Hang on to that, because it cuts both ways, and that's the whole story of this review. Access to the Klipper configuration is one of the biggest reasons this printer stands out at $259 US, and I found two immediate uses for it. The first was bed leveling. When I ran the automatic bed leveling for the first time, I noticed a slope across my bed. Automatic leveling could compensate for the slope, but I would rather start with the bed mechanically level and then let the mesh correct only the smaller variations. So I enabled a Klipper feature called Screw Tilt Adjust. It uses the same probe that the printer already has for auto leveling, and instead of building a mesh, it tells you which direction to turn each bed screw and by how much. Not your bed is off, but turn the screw 1/4 turn clockwise. It found that the right side was roughly a millimeter high and gave me exact adjustment instructions for each screw. And then my bed went from this to this. On a lockdown printer, that feature is either buried or unavailable. Here it is a few lines in a config file. The second example is one of my own projects. Because the Klipper configuration is open, the EX plugs straight into 3D Print Log, my print tracking site, and it logs print time, duration, and material usage automatically. No manual entry. And that's the pattern with this machine. It doesn't hide the configuration from you, and you're free to adjust the machine to suit your workflow. The EX comes with a textured PEI spring steel plates. Print stayed firmly attached while hot, then released with one flex after the plate cooled. I never used glue sticks, hairspray, or any other adhesion additive. Not once in 25 prints. Bare plate straight out of the box. The build volume is where I'd push back. The 250 by 250 millimeter bed is generous, but the 205 millimeter Z height feels unusually short. Tall busts, helmets, and vases are where you will most likely notice that limit. Worth knowing before you buy, especially since InfiMech's other 3D printer, the TX, gives you 250 millimeters of Z, despite having a smaller 220 by 220 millimeter bed. I'll come back to that at the end. The bed is heated with a max temperature of 110 degrees Celsius. It worked well with PLA and PECG in my tests. In practice, the CoreXY motion system never felt like a limiting factor. Even during the faster prints, the machine remained controlled and the automatic input shaping calibration helped reduce ringing. Input shaping calibration is built in and it runs during initial setup, so you don't have to go looking for it. Input shaping measures the printer's vibrations. Klipper then compensates for those resonances to reduce ringing and ghosting at higher speeds. Having it run automatically at first boot is the right call. The EX comes with a 0.4mm hardened steel nozzle with a max print temperature of 300 degrees Celsius. It uses 1.75mm filament. The hardened steel nozzle means that abrasive materials such as carbon fiber filled filaments are not immediately off the table, although the open frame design still limits which high temperature materials are practical. There is a 5-inch full color touchscreen. It is pretty responsive to the touch and gives you most of Klipper's controls right at the tip of your finger. On the side of the touchscreen is an SD card reader if you want to transfer prints manually, but it is worth noting that there are no USB ports on the EX. That is the kind of strange decision on a printer that gets so much right. The EX has Wi-Fi, and because it's running Klipper with the fluid web interface, you can access the printer through a browser on your local network. You can send prints, monitor progress, and watch the print temperatures. However, there is no camera. It's not included and not an option that I could find, and that's the omission that I'd like to see fixed. And since there is no USB port, I don't think you'd be able to add one aftermarket. Remote monitoring without a camera means you can watch the numbers change, but you can't see whether a print is still on the bed. On a machine that gets so much else right about being networked, no camera is a strange place to stop. The EX has power loss recovery, and I got to experience it firsthand. I had a power outage partway through a print. You know, Florida's lovely summer storms. When power came back on, the printer picked up where it left off and finished the model. The resumed layer left a visible seam, so the result was not perfect, but it saved a 5-hour print that otherwise would have gone straight into the scrap bin. The EX arrives almost completely assembled. After removing the shipping foam and the 3 screws securing the bed, you attach the screen and spool holder, connect the filament runout sensor, and power it on. The startup wizard walks you through the Wi-Fi setup, bed leveling, and input shaping calibrations. I went from opening the box to starting my first test print in roughly 20 minutes. And while printing, the EX measured about 63 decibels, about the same volume as a normal conversation or office environment. Not too distracting to be around. The surprising part is that the printer only dropped from about 63 decibels while printing to around 60 decibels while idle, because the electronics fans continued running. That made it far more noticeable between prints, and I usually powered the machine off rather than leaving it sitting idle. InfiMech recommends OrcaSlicer, and OrcaSlicer has built-in profiles for the EX. They work out of the box. They're also the biggest problem with the printer. So here's what I saw. Every flat vertical surface came out covered in VFAs. VFAs, or vertical fine artifacts, are fine, regularly repeating lines running vertically along the prints. They often point towards motor resonance, pulleys, or belt behavior, so at first this looked like a hardware problem. So I went looking for a hardware problem, and there wasn't one. OrcaSlicer has a VFA calibration built in. It prints a tower where each band runs at a different speed, and then you look at it and see which speeds produce the artifacts. On the calibration tower, outer wall speeds from roughly 40 to 100 millimeters per second produced visible artifacts, with 40 and 60 looking worse. Above 100, the surface became much cleaner. That's a speed band where the hardware just doesn't like to run. And look at where the default profile puts you. The profile does not explicitly set the outer wall to 40 millimeters per second. Instead, its volumetric flow limit and minimum layer time settings work together to slow the model down. On my prints, that puts the outer wall right at 40 millimeters per second, the worst part of the VFA range. The fix is 3 settings in the filament profile. I reduced the minimum layer time to 4 seconds, raised the maximum volumetric flow to 20 cubic millimeters per second, and I set the outer wall speed to 200 millimeters per second. These settings worked with the PLA and profile I was using, but the maximum volumetric flow should be validated for each filament, and this fix costs you nothing. Normally when I tell you to change a setting for better quality, I also have to tell you what it costs in time, but not here. The faster outer wall gave me better surfaces and shorter print times at the same time. This Captain America bust went from printing in 5 hours and 50 minutes to 5 hours and 5 minutes, with a much better surface finish. I didn't contact InfiMech about this, so I can't tell you whether or not a profile update is coming, but I can tell you that the version of the stock profile that I tested consistently put outer walls into the machine's worst VFA range. If this saved you from blaming your belts, drop a comment. So now that we've seen the VFA problem and the settings that corrected it, let's take a look at the rest of my test prints. Starting with the 3D Benchy, the stock profile completed this in 50 minutes. The overhangs are clean and the hull transitions smoothly, but the flat surfaces show the VFAs produced by the original profile. The Kickstarter Autodesk Torture Test is one of my favorite prints. The obvious weakness is the material left between the narrow pillars. I printed several retraction towers and adjusted the settings, but I was never able to eliminate it. The blue version uses my optimized profile and the results are only marginally better. The remaining overhangs and bridges are clean, which suggests that the part cooling system can keep up with the printer's normal speeds. The Captain America bust is where the VFA fix pays off, and it's the clearest before and after that I have. Printing on the default settings, the VFAs are all over the bust. You can see them running up every flat surface under raking light. After increasing the outer wall speeds, the artifacts were dramatically reduced, and the same model finished 45 minutes sooner. The underside of the chin also printed cleanly, so the improvements did not come at the expense of overhangs. Next up, the Desert Kiss Dice Tower. This one's clean. I printed this before the VFA fix, but the curved surfaces hide the artifacts a lot better than the flat walls do. The separate bone pillars produced very little stringing, so the problem seems most noticeable during rapid, closely spaced travel moves rather than between every retraction. This is also the print that survived the power outage, so that seam that I mentioned is visible right here. Everything else about it looks good. This Baby Dragon Guardian also came out clean. There is a little stringing between the ears, but the fine scales and facial details are well preserved, and the rainbow filament always looks great. This bowl is harder to print than it looks, with plenty of overhangs and lots of retractions. All but the most extreme overhangs at the bottom came out fine. The stringing between the sections is obvious, although a quick pass with a heat gun would remove most of it. And finally, this flexi squid is a bed adhesion test disguised as decoration. It's printed with a lot of small separate segments, and if any one segment loses grip on the bed, the whole print is ruined. Every segment remained attached, so this textured PEI plate passed this test without glue. The optimized profiles also eliminated the obvious VFAs, although a few strings remained between the legs. At the time of recording, the base EX was selling for $259 US. The 5-color MCS bundle was listed at $359, while the APS plate changing version was $630, although both accessory bundles were out of stock when I checked. The harder comparison is InfiMech's own TX, which costs less and trades some bed area and speed for an enclosure and more vertical build height. So the EX buys you a bigger bed and a faster machine. The TX buys you an enclosure and more height for $60 less, although the TX is showing as out of stock currently. My recommendation would be to buy the EX for the larger footprint and the speed, if you'll spend an hour in the slicer to get it. Buy the TX if you want to print ABS or ASA, or if you print tall. And with the EX, plan to spend more time checking and tuning the stock slicer profile. So in conclusion, the InfiMech EX is a fast, open 3D printer at a price that is really hard to beat. Its CoreXY design allows it to print fast, and the hardened steel nozzle as standard means that you can print abrasive filaments from day one. The textured PEI plate never needed glue to make it easy to live with, and direct access to the Klipper configuration gives experienced users far more control than most printers in this price range. The trade-off is that tuning is your job. The stock OrcaSlicer profiles pushed my outer walls into the printer's worst VFA range, and I was never able to completely solve the stringing. If you want a printer that's correct from the day it arrives and you don't want to open a config file, this might not be the one for you. InfiMech has to make their own trade-offs to meet the aggressively low price. There's no camera on an otherwise well-connected machine, and the 205mm Z height is also short for a printer with this bed size. But those aren't deal breakers for me, if you are looking for an otherwise great printer for a great price. I do want to test out the multicolor attachment and automatic plate swapper upgrades in the future. Those are very interesting upgrades that could give the EX a leg up against its competitors. I can recommend the EX to someone comfortable tuning a slicer that wants a fast CoreXY machine with accessible Klipper configuration files. I would hesitate to recommend it to a beginner who expects the stock profile to deliver the printer's best quality immediately. So which one would you take at these prices? The bigger, faster EX or the enclosed TX for less money? Let me know below. I'm hoping to test a 5-color MCS and APS plate changing system in future videos, so subscribe to Hoffman Engineering if you want to see how those upgrades perform. And if the enclosure sounds more useful for your printer, my InfiMech TX review is on screen now. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.